Hello and welcome back to the Legendary Resistance, where every game is legendary.
Or at least we try to make it that way.
We do our best. Today we're going to be talking about Michael and I's top 5 favorite monsters of all time.
Oh yeah. We got the top 5 ready list, and we're going to be going through it step by step, and you can choose which list you like better.
So without further ado, let's get right into it.
Number 5! Number 5, I have the Displacer Beast. The Displacer Beast is one of the most iconic monsters in Dungeons & Dragons. It's illusions, it's got... Here, I can actually show a really great clip from the Dungeons & Dragons movie right here, showing off how awesome it is. Can you see it?
Whoa.
I know, right? Huh. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I really like this one's illusionary mechanics and keeping all your players at disadvantage on attacking it as long as they can't see its displacery beastiness.
Yeah, Displacer Beasts are iconic, they're really fun, and keep in mind that your players, if they're really into D&D and they've played a lot, might be harvesting pieces of it to try and make a Displacer cloak.
Absolutely.
So, keep that in mind.
What do you have for number 5?
My number 5 is the Remoraz. The Remoraz is a big, spooky, fire ice centipede monster. And basically what they're going to be doing is ambushing your party in the north by popping out of the ice and attacking them with both fire and slashing, all kinds of damage. What I really like about these is they're immune to fire, both fire and cold damage, which makes them already iconic, like a fire and ice Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. And players aren't expecting fire damage from an icy terrain.
Yeah. The only addendum that I have is that the old Remoraz in the 2015 edition was when you hit them, their boiling hot blood would splatter on you and you would take damage every time you hit them with a melee attack. The new Remoraz, they got rid of that. Instead, they have a heat emanation coming off them since they're giving off so much heat, where people that are adjacent to them at the end of their turn will take fire damage. Mm-hmm. It's still good. It's still fun. It's not as thematic in my mind as taking damage from the splattering, boiling blood landing on you.
And if you want to do both, you can.
Yes. If you want to do both, do both.
Number 4! I have the Will-O-Wisp. This is my favorite Dungeons & Dragons stat block for thematicness. I really love using Will-O-Wisps as to guide a character. Like for a warlock of the Fae, being guided by their patron through the Will-O-Wisps, getting told what to do through this, and even better when they act out of the patron's wishes. The patron isn't going to remove the magic. They're going to do the chaotic option and send some things to attack them for a little bit and then go away. These are the kind of things that I like using the Will-O-Wisp for.
In the movie Brave.
Yeah, exactly. And characters know what you're talking about when you describe the Will-O-Wisp. Mm-hmm. You can also use this for entrancing things, like you're in the middle of a swamp and you see a light flickering off in the distance. Mm-hmm. So I just really love the thematicness of a little firefly attacking you.
Yeah. Will-O-Wisps don't mess around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so my number 4 is going to be Grungs.
Grung.
If you have not heard of Grungs, Grungs are little poison dart frog people who kind of come out and attack the party. And what I really like about them is that there are 3 stat blocks, kind of like your typical war party that D&D is going towards, with different types of goblins, kobolds, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So they have a regular Grung. These are in Volo's Guide to Monsters, as well as Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse. You've got the regular Grung, you've got a Grung Wildling, which is like the spellcaster, and then you've got a Grung Elite Warrior. The Grung Elite Warrior has a Chur attack that is a saving throw and might paralyze people from just hearing it.
Nice.
Which is kind of I like to put on frog noises when we do these battles. Which ended up being, going off on a tangent, that ended up being number 1 most played on my Spotify Wrapped one year, was just swamp frog sounds, because I ran Grungs a bunch.
Nice.
Yeah. Because it was on loop, and it wasn't that long of a song. Anyway, I digress. The poison dart frog Grungs of different colors, red, green, yellow, purple, whatever it is, their poisons have different effects. Some of them cause you to uncontrollably jump up and down as you're moving. Some of them cause you to have an urge to go roll in the mud or something. Like, they're like cool frog abilities that these poisons are having on you, and that's what makes them fun.
Nice.
So,
Sounds exciting.
yeah, what's your number 3?
Number 3! It's a really handsy one. It's the Swarm of Crawling Hands.
That is handy.
Yeah, I know, right? I thought this was a pretty handsome stat block.
Seems like a bit of a handful, though.
I know. The best part, and I really love doing this, was in a one-shot where skeletons were throwing bags, which inside was the Swarm of Crawling Hands.
That's a big yikes for me.
I know, right?
That's a yikes for me.
So this is one of my favorite ways of like making the party uncomfortable with these attacks. Like, it's not damaging super hard. It's not. I don't know. Finding ways to make your players uncomfortable in combat, but through fun ways of being creative is one of my best ways of doing this. And so the Swarm of Crawling Hands has a passive ability that when they hit, it pulls the creature prone. So imagining like a bunch of hands just grabbing you and shoving you to the ground and scratching you all over. It's just a horrifying image, obviously. And also the hand puns are wonderful.
The hand puns are great, but the rest of it, I'm good. I'll pass.
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is a classic D&D monster, the Hydra. Ooh. The Hydra kind of goes back to Greek mythology with Hercules and everything. Mm-hmm. But the cool thing about the Hydra in D&D is that it's got a ton of heads. When you cut them off, 2 grow in its place, it heals a little bit, and now it has more attacks because it has more heads.
Mm-hmm. And more reactions in the stat block, right?
Exactly. So, unless the party learns to deal fire damage to it, which a lot of D&D players will metagame, so you gotta keep track of that. But they can make it stronger as time goes on, even though it's losing HP. Mm-hmm. Another cool thing about the Hydra, if you want to run it at a higher challenge rating or a lower challenge rating, change the number of heads that it starts with. So, the number of heads that Hydra starts with in the base stat block is 5. But that doesn't mean that you as the DM can't start it with 3 if it's a lower level party. Or start it with 10 heads if it's a higher level party. They come in, it's got 10 attacks already per round. Crazy.
Yeah.
So you can kind of change its challenge rating based on where you start it, which is one of the things that I love about it and makes a good utility creature to just throw in at any level.
And you could, like, if it could be thematic, you say, I have a Hydra at this place. And if they reach there and eventually become like level 10, you can change it to be more difficult on the fly.
Or maybe your Hydra isn't vulnerable to fire, because typically you you cauterize the wounds as you're cutting off heads, and so they don't grow back.
Could be an unholy Hydra.
Maybe you change the type of damage they need to do to it so that they can't metagame it. So instead of having to deal fire damage, maybe they have to deal radiant damage or acid damage or whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
So Hydras are really cool. Use them in your campaign.
Number 2!
My
number 2 is the Iron Golem. So I'm really looking forward to throwing this on my players. So if you're watching, please stop watching and skip to the next part. Shoo.
Wait, is that me?
Shoo. That is you. So don't listen. What's the fantastic about the Iron Golems are they're fantastic defenders for like a high level, like your mid-level boss where they're guarding the temple or they're guarding the treasure and stuff.
Middle-aged Iron Golem.
Yep. I really enjoy the mechanic of the passive healing ability from any fire damage, and I like their poison breath attack. So you can just have these statues be standing there, breathing poison onto the treasure, and if anybody ever tries to interact with it, then they start activating. And the players think that it's just the poison that's attacking them, but then once they take the object or whatever, then they start animating and start attacking. It's pretty fun.
That is pretty fantastic. Yeah. So my number 2. Now we're getting into my special passion monsters.
Oh, yeah.
My number 2 is a little creature called a Periton. A Periton is a medium creature that basically it looks like a big eagle with the head of a moose and sharp horns or antlers, however you want to go.
See multiple pictures here.
And teeth. They look terrifying, and they are. Basically, they fly around and swoop down at your party. They've got an extra dive attack where if they dive bomb your party, they deal extra damage with their horns. And The new monster manual added a little addendum to their talent attack, where if they reduce your party members to 0 HP with a talent attack, they actually rip out their heart and they die. Which,
Oof.
they're a little more, they're a little stronger than they used to be. So
Oof.
maybe take it with a grain of salt.
How heartless.
You don't have to run that one, but I think it's actually kind of cool. If you want to make them stronger, so typically Peritons will be challenge rating 2. You can have like a couple of them that are in like a little group. Or there's a monstrous Periton stat block in Ghosts of Saltmarsh. This one is a bigger Periton that has legendary actions and is just really awesome.
Nice.
So check that out if you have access to that. I highly recommend it. I've run it in multiple campaigns and intend to run it in many, many more.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Number 1. My number 1, when you think Dungeons and Dragons and you take out the dragons, because when you think Dungeons and Dragons, you immediately go to dragons.
Dungeons
Other than dragons,
and dungeons.
my number 1 is the Beholder. I feel like the Beholders are one of the most awesome staples of what Dungeons and Dragons is. Dungeons and Dragons are. Dungeons and Dragons, the game is. That's the correct language. So Beholders, I really love the abilities that each eye-ray does, like a paralyzing, a fear, a con save, a dex save. This is a great way of rounding out different party members are weak to and different members are strong against different things. And my favorite, absolute favorite fact about this is even you as the dungeon master don't know what's going to happen because you're rolling for each eye ray and then you are trying to figure out what would the beholder be doing with the best of what it's got.
Yeah, no, beholders are fantastic. Also, they don't have legs.
Yeah.
So, like, they always fly. And so their lairs don't need to have ground.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of times, like, their lair could be in a volcano or over an abyss. Whatever it is, it's going to make for an interesting combat.
And seeing what your players do to the creativeness of like exploring a beholder dungeon or dealing with what they're supposed to be doing with what the beholder is doing to them with their anti-magic zone, there's so many awesome things that I love about them.
Yeah, beholders are fantastic. Yeah. So my number 1, is something you have, unlike the beholder, probably never heard of. This, if you have, bonus points, let us know in the comments, and you get 6 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 points for our next video.
Don't spend them all in one place. This is the Balhanith. This is an aberration from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes and Monsters of the Multiverse. This is a very unique creature. It makes for a good kind of mid-level boss monster. Basically, what it does is it can sense the deepest desires of everyone within a couple miles of its lair. And it can manifest those desires by like warping the terrain around it. Not an illusion, it is actually building these things. So if your party is weary and they want a tavern, it can build a tavern. If they want like shelter, it can build a shelter or a shrine or a temple or whatever it is that they're looking for. It just kind of can build it as they're on their way.
Yeah, I know what I would be seeing. I'd be seeing you subscribing.
That is what it would manifest for us, yes. Anyway,
Sorry.
when in combat, it has a whole bunch of legendary actions that are really fun. It doesn't really move very fast on its own, but it can legendary action teleport all over the place. It can turn invisible. It can turn invisible just for one party member for the rest of the combat as a lair action.
Oof.
It can also teleport party members against their will with a save, which is one of the very not many stat blocks can do that. So it is scary, it is fun, and it feels like an epic level boss even at like the mid like 10th level. Like
Yeah.
it's not like a 20-some challenge rating boss or anything, but it's really fun. You should run it,
And it's really thematic.
and it's thematic. So
Thanks for watching our video.
thank you for watching our video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. What are your favorite monsters? Put them in the comments down below. Maybe we'll talk about them in a later video.
Oh yeah.
So, until next time, stay legendary. We'll see you later.
Bye.